What's going on, Dead by Daylight family? It's your boy Negoose, and I'm coming at you today with a discussion video, and I'm just going to be talking about the new teachable perks that Nemesis has and if they will be beneficial on Plague and Hag. Those two killers are my mains, and I'm always interested to see if the new perks on new DLC characters will always benefit my mains. So I'm going to get into his first perk. So his first perk is called Eruption. And what it does is, after kicking a generator, its aura is highlighted in yellow when you put a survivor in a dying state with a basic attack. Every affected generator explodes, regressing their progress by 6% and causing their auras to disappear. Any survivor repairing a generator when it explodes will scream and suffer from the incapacitated status effect for 14 seconds. I'm going to give you my honest opinions on this perk because I played a lot of matches in the P2B using this perk on Nemesis, and I gotta say this perk is very time consuming. It does sound good in text, but in game it is quite different, because if you are on a large map, for example, and the generators are spread out, this is going to require you to travel far distances to kick generators. As a killer main, I absolutely hate kicking generators sometimes. I find it to waste a lot of time. But yes, going around the map and just looking for generators to kick is very time consuming. The real downside to this perk is that it only triggers if you down them with a basic hit. So if you are using a killer with a secondary ability and you down someone with it, Eruption is pretty much useless, okay? This happened to me a lot throughout the PTB. I'll kick a generator and that generator will be at like 70%, for example, and then I'll find a survivor and I'll chase them, and then by the time I down that survivor, that generator is done, and I pretty much wasted my time kicking that generator hoping to get some value off of Eruption. But because a generator popped, I literally just wasted a lot of time there. So I hope you guys can see where I'm coming from with that. Another downside to this perk is that when this perk is on cooldown and you do kick generators, it won't be highlighted with Eruption because the perk is in the cooldown phase. So you're gonna have to wait again until the cooldown is over before you could start getting value out of Eruption. And bro, this perk has a 90-second cooldown. Other than that, I really don't see this perk being good on Hag or the Plague. But it could work in a meme build, and I'll try it out just to see. But from my impressions so far, I don't think the perk is that good. So let's get into the second perk. The second perk is called Hysteria. What it does is, whenever you put a healthy survivor in the injured state with a basic attack, all injured survivors suffer from the Oblivious status effect for 30 seconds, and Hysteria has a cooldown of 60 seconds. So the Oblivious status effect means that survivors won't be able to hear your terror radius, okay? So how will this benefit the Plague or Hag? This will benefit the Plague in some way, because the Plague is able to injure survivors quite easily because she could spread her sickness around the map if you do get survivors broken. You won't get any use out of this perk if the whole team is broken, so keep that in mind. But majority of the time, you are rarely ever in that situation. Sometimes you'll have 2 survivors broken while 2 are healthy, and I don't know, it all varies, but you could get some pretty decent value out of this perk. If, for example, 2 survivors are broken and 2 survivors are healthy, you could hit that survivor with your basic hit, and this will leave you with no terror radius. So if you know where survivors are, you can maybe leave that survivor that you hit and possibly look around the map and find survivors. Maybe if you're using a tracking perk, you could just sneak up on them and just catch them off guard, alright? This perk kind of reminds me of Dark Devotion, but instead of hitting your obsession, you could just hit anybody, and I think it'll be okay on the Plague. It wouldn't be good against those teams that stay broken the whole entire match, because they will be broken. They won't be a healthy survivor. You won't get any benefit of Hysteria on those type of teams. So let's get into how this perk will benefit the Hag, and I feel this perk might be quite good on the Hag. She's able to hit a survivor, instantly teleport in and hit another survivor, and she could juggle quite easily. And you are always gonna be in that situation when you hit a healthy survivor with your basic hit. because she is only a basic hit killer. So this will definitely benefit her. And what you could do with this is, if a healthy survivor triggers your trap, you could just immediately smack them and then replace your trap and then walk around the map with no tear radius against those survivors that are injured. So yeah, Hysteria is gonna be, I think it's gonna be quite good on the Hag, and I'm actually hyped to actually try this perk out on her. And for the last perk, we got Lethal Pursuer. What it does is, at the start of the trial, the auras of all survivors are revealed to you for 7 seconds. This perk is gonna be good on killers with high mobility, such as Nurse, Blight, Wraith. Like, killers like that are gonna really benefit from this. But honestly, I feel this perk might be good on almost any killer, because the fact that you know where survivors are in the early game is very important. Your early game is so key as a killer. And if you have a bad early game, you could possibly end up losing that match. So knowing where survivors are right away in the start of your match is key. I feel Lethal Pursuer is going to be quite decent on the Plague. The Plague's early game is so important, and finding survivors quick and infecting them is something you always want to do as a Plague. Lethal Pursuer is going to give you that information of where survivors are in the early game. So if you see 2 survivors spawn in together and they just hop on a generator, you will know to head over there and try to infect at least 1 to 2 of them. Even if you just get 1, that's better than you just walking around the map in the early game and trying to find survivors. Sometimes you could head to a side of the map where the survivors didn't even spawn, and you waste so much time looking for them. Alright, so the fact that you could know exactly where they are is very important. And you getting them infected early can increase your chances of them cleansing, which will benefit you of you getting your Corrupt Purge later on in the match. So another way you could use this perk to your advantage is by being very aggressive with the Plague. So what you could do is grab your Corrupt Purge and literally just head over to where you see in the auras of the survivors in the beginning. The only time you want to really do this is if you see 2 to 3 survivors spawn in together and maybe they just hop on that generator immediately. This might be the best time for you to grab Corrupt Purge and head over there. A build that you could run revolving around this perk, bring in 2 Apple add-ons. So this is going to increase the probability of you getting better Corrupt Pool placements, okay? So maybe you're lucky and your Corrupt Pool spawns in the middle of the map. You might want to grab your Corrupt Purge in the middle of the map and just head over to where you know the survivors are. I'll say like bring in like Monitor and Abuse. So this is going to decrease your tear radius and make you sneak up on survivors, and they won't have enough time to really escape you, because by the time you're charging up your Corrupt Purge from a distance to shoot, they will then hear your tear radius and it'll possibly be too late. Monitor and Abuse will increase your tear radius while in chase, and this is important because with the next perk that I'm about to talk about, it's Infectious Fright. If a survivor gets downed, any survivor that is in your tear radius is going to scream. So this is going to allow you to start snowballing. You could possibly create some crazy snowball pressure in the early game, and this could really cripple teams, and it'll be hard for them to bounce back after this. It could be quite situational though. Sometimes you could get a really big map and the survivors could spawn like spread out, so you won't get much benefit out of this. But if they do spawn spread out, this is good for you because you'll know exactly where they are in the early game, okay? So you could, even if 1 survivor is on a generator and you infect them, that's better than you just spawning in and having no clue where a survivor is and possibly walking to one side of the map and you don't see anybody there, wasting a lot of time. So how is this perk gonna benefit the Hag? So if you spawn in and you see survivors nearby, say if you see 2 to 3 of them spawn near you, you might want to relocate and find a different area of the map to control and just set up your web there. This could do a lot of good things for you. This could prevent survivors from possibly harassing you in the early game and kind of preventing you to set up your web of traps. This perk does have some benefit with Hag. It will give you some great information in the early game. So when you spawn in, just take a quick scan around the map to see how far survivors are away from you, okay? I think this perk will be quite good against Swift, because if you are placing traps, sometimes survivors could see where you place your traps, so they might call out to their friends on comms. For example, oh, he placed a trap in the shack. When you spawn in and you see where the survivors are, you could know, okay, I'm safe to put this trap here, I'm safe to put this trap there. Okay, so this is really good because it will give you information that survivors don't know where you place their traps. Another benefit to this perk is that if all survivors are on the opposite side from you, this means you have a lot of time to set up your web, and this could kind of make you feel more calm and not really rush your trap placements. This could give you more time to put traps in the most optimal spots on the map, such as jungle gyms, long loops, very problematic areas that you know those survivors are gonna come to later. So this perk does serve its purpose with Hag. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get these perks teachable in the PTB and then have to level up both the Plague and the Hag to actually try out these Nemesis teachable perks on them. But when they do come to live servers, I'll definitely be making builds around these new perks. Let me know what you guys think about these perks and give me some ideas of some builds you guys want me to try with these new perks. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, hit the subscribe and the bell notification for my future uploads. I will see you guys in the next one.